A lot of you have been curious and have asked where we are moving. Our solution isn't going to be settling down in one specific location. In fact, it's actually going to be the exact opposite.
I doubt it.
This is a big area here. In a recent video I released, I shared that my family is going to be selling our home and moving away from Florida because of the extreme cost of living increases that has just made Florida unaffordable for us. Our homeowners insurance, property taxes, utilities, food, car insurance, and basically everything has increased significantly in the last few years. Many people commented on that video and said that it was like that across the entire United States and that there would be no escaping inflation. That is a very valid point. I know that a lot of people are experiencing these same issues with the cost of living just increasing so much. The cost of living may have increased more rapidly and more dramatically in Florida just because of the nature of living in Florida, with the added negatives of hurricanes and supply and demand, with so many people wanting to move to Florida. But the cost of living crisis is still affecting everyone. A lot of you have been curious and have asked where we are moving because the cost of living in your area has risen dramatically too, and you are looking for more affordable places to live. Our solution isn't going to be settling down in one specific location. In fact, it's actually going to be the exact opposite. After we sell our home in Florida, our plan is to actually buy something that is very small, off-grid, and can be mobile. Something without property taxes, without utility bills, water bills, or homeowners insurance. Something that's gonna have less space, so we have less stuff, less cleaning, and less maintenance. Something that we can take with us when we are ready to move on to another adventure or another location. We're a family of 5, so finding and setting up the right space for our family is going to be very important. The Great American Tiny House Show is coming to Jacksonville, Florida today, which is just about an hour from us. So we are going to go and visit all of the different tiny houses, school buses, and just kind of see what our options might be. These little renovated campers were the smallest things that were at the convention, and then this huge tiny house was the largest at the convention. These little campers were obviously too small for my family to live in full time, but if you're a single person or just wanting a camper to travel in, these were so cute. The company is Retro Renos, and they're based out of Jacksonville, and I will link their website down below, and they also have a YouTube channel. I think that these were the most well done tiny living spaces that we saw all day. I love the idea of renovating something that's old into something that is really well done. This tiny house was made by the company Movable Roots, and this one was also too small for our family, but it was very well done also. And it's just kind of shocking when you walk into something that's so small, how big it can feel just based on how the layout is and how they design it.
I like the shower slats.
Yeah, I really like that too. So this next tiny house that we're going to walk through was definitely the biggest one at the convention. It was 588 square feet, with a price tag of $230,000. I personally would never spend $230,000 on a tiny house. I feel like you could get a house on a foundation on some land for that price, and the equity is going to build in it. So for me, it's not really a very good financial long-term investment to pay so much money for a tiny house, but I will say it was huge and definitely would have very comfortably fit our family in it. There were 3 bedrooms. Both lofts were pretty private up top, and then there was a private bedroom downstairs. The kitchen was huge. There was a washer and dryer, and it was very, very well done. But just a little bit too big and too pricey for what we are looking for.
Even for little people. Look, there's a door. Oh, and there's cabinet space back there.
That's cool. This is the biggest tiny house I've ever been in.
Oh, God.
So you can't stand up there?
No. Yeah, even we can't stand it.
Yeah, if we can't stand, you can't stand.
Another thing about a tiny home this size is that it's really not very movable. It is so big that it can be moved, but it's not very easy. We want something that's going to be very easily movable, and we can just go from place to place.
So we have modular coming out.
This next tiny home actually had a family that was currently living in it, so it was really interesting to see how it was set up with all of their belongings and just how a tiny home can be set up even for a family.
Oh, look. A hammock.
This is the main bedroom that was downstairs in the tiny house that I'm assuming the parents slept in, and then the entire upstairs kind of seemed to be set up for the kids. This room upstairs had a little bed in it, and then the entire roof of the tiny house was set up as a deck, and this was one way that you got to it was through the window. The headspace up here was really low, so I couldn't stand up all the way in it. You'd have to kind of crawl around up here, which would be just fine if you had little kids.
With the dryer and the fact that you don't have to take them in and out and it's on it goes
So we've been renovating our own house, and as we were walking through these tiny houses, we noticed a lot of the same sinks and fixtures that we've been using in our house. So we know that they must have ordered a lot of this stuff on Amazon, just like we have. So this is a combo washer dryer, which I don't really have much experience with, but seems like it would be a great space saver. Most of these small spaces still had room for a full-size tub and shower, and a lot of them made space for a washer and dryer. So you can still have all of the amenities in a tiny house that you do in a larger house. You just have to make sure that you are using the space very efficiently. It was also really crazy how many people they were fitting into these small spaces. A lot of the houses had 10 to 20 people in them at a time.
Hey, there's our light fixture.
Oh, there's our light.
So we all know how cheap that is. It's a nice shower in there.
And then this is a woman who was living in her van, and it was so
like 3 years ago. And they wanted somebody that had built a van here to prove that it can be done yourself. And that it does work and you can travel. So I was invited to come and show my van, and so that's why I'm here. So I live in it. No, I live in it. I've lived in it for over 3 years.
We spoke with her a little more, and she built this van by herself and lives in it with her 2 small dogs. There was also a company there that was selling vans, but they didn't feel nearly as spacious as some of the other tiny spaces that we looked at. This probably would have been okay to just go on vacation in for the weekend, but definitely is not something that I would ever want to live in, even as a single person or a couple.
That is a tiny, tiny shower.
This little tiny house was so cute, and it was custom built by the woman who lives in it, and it is actually for sale right now. She's wanting to move into a schoolie and sell this tiny house. So if you're interested in it, her number was there.
Hi. How do you feel about the tiny houses?
Tiny,
You want
like
to live
me?
in a tiny house?
They're tiny like me.
Because you're tiny.
And then this is a school bus that was converted into a tiny house, which is honestly the direction that we're leaning towards. This is the only schoolie that was here today, and I was really excited to get inside and walk around it. Oh, this is so cute. I like this so much better than tiny houses.
Yeah, it's way cooler than a tiny house. It also makes way.
The design inside wasn't really our style, but it felt really big and open, and I really enjoyed being in the schoolie a little bit more than I did being inside the tiny houses. Schoolies are also extremely mobile, and you can move from place to place a lot easier than you could a tiny house that you have to pull with another vehicle. So how many feet is this? What we can ask?
It's definitely cool.
So what about you guys? Do you think that you could live in a tiny house or some sort of tiny space? And do you think this is a good idea, or do you think maybe we're a little crazy? I will definitely continue documenting our journey of selling our home and moving into a tiny space. Our first goal is to just finish our renovations that we're doing on our home and get our house listed for sale. This should happen within just the next couple of weeks. After that, we're going to head to Tennessee, which is where we are originally from, to kind of hang out while our house is on the market and hopefully sells kind of quickly. And we're going to take that time to visit some friends and family that we haven't seen in a little while that are up in Tennessee. After our house sells, we're going to use the profits from our house to buy our tiny off-grid home. And we are going to put all the rest of our money in savings. If you haven't seen the video on why we are leaving Florida, you can check out that video here. If you want to see how our home renovations are going, you can also check out this playlist. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. All the comments, likes, shares really helps my family out, and I truly appreciate it.